Today guys, I want to bring you a tutorial about the battle order system. As you know, from 1.7, the new way of sorting troops before a battle is no longer through your party with the cardinal system, it's through these little squares in here, and you have some filters here to have some preferences. There are some upsides and downsides to the system. One of the main upsides is that this system allows you to control all of the army. The old system only allowed you to control the position and formations of the troops that were in your party. With this system, you can control the formation of troops of the entire army, so even your vassals or the parties you're bringing with you. The old system didn't allow that. But one of the major downsides is that this system can be extremely confusing and not 100% reliable, which is the bad side. There is a lot to be done. There are probably more filters to be added, or even better, if they could add, instead of these filters, a drop-down menu like the captain screen. But for the troops, that would be amazing. I think that would be the end goal for this system. And in my mind, it doesn't sound too hard to implement, but you know, well, what do I know? I'm not a coder, and neither are probably most of you. But you know, let's talk about the parts that work. In this scenario, I have selected all of the Imperial infantry units, at least from the standard troop tree, so no militians and other stuff, and we're gonna separate them. So as you can see in here, I started with formation 1 having some shields, and as you might expect, this is simply gonna split the infantry between shielded and unshielded. Now remember, if you go over the number of troops with the preference, right, you're gonna start calling in some people with shields. So that's why the veteran infantryman is here. But as you can see, mostly these guys are all unshielded. They're either menavletons or peasants, and on the other side you got the shielded boys. So now that we have formation 5, you know, mostly unshielded, what about if we want to divide the menavletons from the peasants? Well, we can do that by locking that one up first, and then second we create another formation and we tell this formation to have heavy armors. Let's add a little bit of troops, and now as you can see, formation 6 has well, we even taken some troops with shields that were probably in the formation 5. You know, there were too many people, so they brought in some people with shields. But yeah, as you can see from here, we go most of the menavletons out, and with Fury Sword formation 5, we still have some menavletons here and there, but the important thing to consider is that, as you can see in here, we don't have any peasants. But if we go back to formation 1, all of a sudden we have some peasants in here. So how do we change that? Well, we simply say to formation 1 to give priority to heavy armors. And now formation 1 doesn't have any peasants, formation 5 has a bunch of peasants, and formation 6 doesn't physically have any peasants in it. There you go. That's how you can divide your peasants. Talking about the thing that you cannot do with the Empire, dividing formation 1 into the troops that have throwables and troops that don't have throwables. So with the Empire, one thing that they bring is a tier 3 unit that brings some javelin. So if we give this one throwables and shield, and we lock the other two, and we say that we want 20% of their units in here, we create formation 2. As you can see, all of a sudden we are bringing in, well, kind of all kinds of troops. The reason for this is because the tier 4 and tier 5, they unfortunately have the pilum, and the pilum is considered a throwing weapon. So for the Empire, unfortunately, you can't really divide them, and even if you use the heavy armors, it just doesn't work. So that's one of the negatives of this system. You can divide the Imperial troops into the tier 3 and the other ones, but you can divide your peasants and your menavletons. Let's go ahead and do the same with another faction. Alright, so this time we are dealing with Sturgeon troop. I've only selected the I tier, so it's gonna make it a little bit easier, but one thing that comes to mind when talking about Sturgeon is that they have 3 different infantrymen. One of them has an axe and some throwables, the other one has a spear but no throwables, and the other one has throwables but doesn't have a shield. So let's start by doing the easy thing, which is dividing our units that have a shield from the units that don't. As you can see in here, we pulled some shields, but we pulled also all of the heroic line breakers, and there are no heroic line breakers to be seen in here. Let's divide our infantry boys between the axemen and the spearmen. So we're gonna select the spear, we're gonna create another infantry unit. I'm gonna tell these guys to be around 25, and what we find out is that formation 1 has all of the spearmen, and formation 2 has a few spearmen, pile of axemen. Alright, so now resetting things here. If we want to divide our throwables troop from the spearmen, what we can do is simply telling formation 1 to have the throwables, and then we can go ahead and tell formation 5 to have the spear instead. And all of a sudden, formation 1 has line breakers and axemen, and formation 5 has the spearmen and a few axemen, because probably there are not enough spearmen. Alright, and right now we are back with the Imperial units, because Imperial units have two options when it comes to range foot archers. One of them are simply archers, the other are crossbowmen. So in this one I'm gonna show you how to separate the crossbowmen from the archers, as long as they have a shield. It's a little bit trickier if they don't have a shield. The formation 2 is gonna have the shields, the formation 5 is not gonna have the shield. We're gonna split that 50-50, and as you can see from here, formation 2 is full of crossbowmen, and formation 5 on the other hand is full of Palatine guards. And yeah, this is what I really like about the crossbowmen and the archers in this game, is that the AI, when it comes to, you know, the game AI, will place the crossbowmen in front, which is quite nice, because if anybody comes close, the crossbowmen are way better, generally speaking, way better than the archers in melee. And well, they are honestly more expendable. But they will deal with the melee threats while the archers stay behind and they are protected, which I kinda like about the game. Another thing I want to show you guys is dividing skirmisher cavalry from heavy cavalry. So as you know, the Battanians have two types of cavalry. They have the mounted skirmisher and they have the Battanian horsemen. And what I'm gonna be doing here is create another formation of cavalry, and these guys are gonna have some throwables. Alright, and after a little bit of tinkering here, as you can see, formation 3 has all of the horsemen, and formation 6 as all of the skirmishers. Alright, so for this one instead, we're gonna talk about the horse archers. So as you know, the Azerai Mamluk have a shield, while the other horse archers don't. The way we're gonna do this one is telling them to have a shield, and we're gonna make a formation 5 with an horse archer, and we're gonna tell them to be normal. We're gonna split that 50-50. And now formation 4 is gonna bring all of the Azerai cavalry, and formation 5 on the other side is gonna have the Kuzites. So this is kind of neat if you want to separate them, because the Azerai only have one quiver and the Kuzite have two. A similar thing happens when you use the Kansgar from the horse archers. So if you want to separate the Kansgar from the lower tiers and the horse archers, just make sure to give these guys the polearm, and the other guys are gonna be in the other formation, and you can separate the Kansgar. And yeah, as you can see, it does have some problems here and there. It's not the best system ever. I hope they're gonna change it one day with the drop down menu, where you can just select the troops you want in that formation. Thank you guys for watching, and if you found this video useful, just share it with someone else that might find it useful as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time.